Okay, good morning, everybody, or evening, depending on where you are on this beautiful earth. I am joined today by the wonderful Beatrice Boots, who is one of my clients inside of Four Eagles Publishing. She's currently writing in Phoenix Rising, which is a multi-author book project that we have going on. Welcome, Beatrice. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Tarryn, for having me.
My pleasure. Now, Beatrice has had quite the adventurous life. She has lived in 5 countries and 10 towns and has now temporarily, mind you, settled in Perth in Western Australia, here in Australia. She wants to live between the Netherlands and Australia. She is a creative who does cultures, cooking, photography, and writing, and has 2 businesses because one is not enough. Beatrice has never felt she fitted into the system, but has instead always walked her own path following her heart. Traveling and working from the heart has brought her a happy marriage of 20 years and abundance on all levels. She has a Paris-based travel business in which she brings women to Paris to fall back in love with themselves. She's also an intuitive business coach. During her group coaching, Beatrice shows high achievers how to use both spiritual and practical tools to manifest their dream lives and businesses whilst earning a good income by using their core talents. Welcome, Beatrice. Thank you so much. Now tell me more about this travel business, which obviously is put on hold at the moment, I'm guessing, because of COVID. But why Paris?
Why Paris? Okay, I basically received my name before I was born. I come from a lineage of very adventurous women, and my grandmother already traveled as well on her own. My mother went to Paris as an au pair in the 60s, and I was, she had a girl she took care of, she looked after. Her name was Beatrice in French. Mm-hmm. And my mom decided before I was born that if she had a daughter, she would give me this name. And there I was, and I received the name, and I lived in Paris myself afterwards because I just loved the city of Paris. It was embedded in my DNA, I think.
Wonderful. I just read a wonderful book called The Paris Library. And it was just such a wonderfully written book. Yeah, check it out if you haven't read it. But I just adored it. It was such a wonderful trip through Paris without actually traveling. Now, tell me about your intuitive business coaching. I know that you work with high achievers. Can you tell me more about that?
I just love working with women that are both sensitive, but also, really ambitious. And often they come from the corporate world, so a completely different background than my own journey. Sure. But it's kind of really beautiful to help them to live more from the heart instead of living the whole time from the head. They are intuitive, but they have lost their connection with their heart, it seems, and they need to bring the head into the heart. And when they do this, they start to live their dream lives and can build their dream businesses rather than fitting into the system where they're unhappy. Basically, they have a lot of money maybe, but they're unhappy in lacking meaning and joy and pleasure, being themselves.
Yeah, and who wants to live a life lacking joy and meaning, right?
That's right. It's a nightmare for people like us, I think, but a lot of people do, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's right. It's because it's what we're told is acceptable, right? Or safe, rather. Now, are there any particular tools that you use inside of your business?
Yes, a big tool I use are tarot cards. I have been using tarot cards for over 20 years, first for myself, later for friends. Then some people became clients. I just did it for fun, basically, for years. And at some stage, when I had my travel business, I actually chose to start to become a business coach when I moved to Australia a couple of years ago, and I felt Paris was so far away and I wanted to have a bigger impact. So I decided to become a business coach, an intuitive business coach, before the COVID-19 hit. I got my residency spot on time a week before the borders closed, and I had already established myself as an intuitive business coach. Now, I really want to bring in those spiritual tools because I feel that's where we can bridge the feminine and the masculine into learning what's in our unconscious, because 95% is in our unconscious mind. By using tarot cards, you bring that subconscious, I should say, I always have the word wrong, subconscious to the conscious, and then from conscious you can take aligned actions rather than just doing things from the head.
Yes, yeah, and that balance is so important.
That balance is so important, isn't it? So
yeah,
that's a really important tool I use. And then I work a lot with the chakras. So opening up the channels in your system so that you can basically co-create with the universe while you're grounded really well. Because that was my own journey. I was like a lot of intuitive, spiritual people. We are very open in the upper chakras, but we're not grounded well. So that's why I love working with the chakras. It was my own journey to ground and to incarnate better here on earth, and to really, from that groundedness, create, manifest what your deepest desires are, because they have to manifest in the physical world. That's why we're here.
Yes, yes, exactly. So wonderfully put. Beautiful. Now, can you share with our listeners like a sneak peek about what your chapter inside Phoenix Rising is about?
Okay. My chapter is very, very close to my heart. I'm sure all the chapters are close to everybody's heart, by the way. But in my story, I'm actually not going to only talk about myself, but I'm going to talk about a dear friend that is not part of this physical world anymore.
Beautiful.
And my journey with her.
And why did you say yes to becoming a best-selling author inside of Phoenix Rising?
I just knew I had to say yes, because a few days before you reached out to me, I received some information from a friend, from a friend who had this friend that I'm going to talk about in the book, and it was passed through a colleague of mine who is also an energy worker, and I received a message, and I basically got the title of this chapter given to me before you asked me to be part of this book.
Wow.
And it was really remarkable, because I have a really strong communication with my father, who also has passed, and he was also very, very intuitive, and I had a telepathic relationship since I was a child with him, and it's really evolved, and it's really strong now. So my colleague, who knows me well and who knows that my father comes through those sessions quite a bit, thought it was my dad. So she asked me, she said to me, I think you're going to work on a project, and your project name is going to be The Gift. Does that mean anything to you? And I said, no, it doesn't really. So I was confused, because she thought it was my dad coming through, and it didn't really feel right. And then after the session, I started to think, and I already thought about my friend Angelique in Paris, and then you reached out to me. So when you reached out to me, all the pieces of the puzzle came together, and I realized this is what it was about. So I just had no choice, really. I had to say yes to the project, and next to that,
what a beautiful example of trusting your intuition and taking the leap even when you aren't sure that it makes sense, or that all the pieces haven't quite come together yet.
That's right. Yes, that is really, I just needed to listen to the call. And sometimes that's quite difficult, because I felt a lot of resistance coming up.
Yes.
And I had to work through that resistance before I could say a full yes, although my subconscious already told me it's yes, but I couldn't say it yet because I had to work through those resistances.
Yeah. I remember on our call, you were like, oh, I just need to
Like,
think
no.
about it. And your face was like terrified. And then you're like, I've already said yes, but I need to think about it. But I've said yes. And I was like, okay, I get it. I can see what's happening here, because it's that fear. And when you are telling real stories, authentic stories that connect with people, it requires you to be vulnerable, and vulnerability is scary.
That's right. And I do find that I'm sure everybody does. It's really difficult to be vulnerable because you're exposing yourself. And this is probably why I had my Pure Paris travel business, because I was hiding behind that normal kind of business. And so I'd already come out, luckily, out of the closet with my spirituality at the start of 2020. And then when you reached out to me, there was other reasons why I said yes. There was also this, I asked you, why did you pick me? I was curious. I wanted to know, why did you choose me? Because I felt like I was the chosen one. And it is because you are very specific in who you want to work with. And I love that.
Yeah.
And when you said you picked me intuitively, that for me was the confirmation that this agreement that I think I had with my friend Angelique before we even came into this world was actually also a triangle agreement. It was almost like you were part of it, and I felt like you are the one that's going to help me to bring it out more physically, or to help us both tell this story and bring it out to the physical. So that's
beautiful.
That was
there are definitely no mistakes, are there? And I do a lot of my work intuitively, even when it doesn't make sense, which is, can be quite scary in business when you've got a client saying, I want to pay you this. And you're like, well, no, I don't want it. Thank you. That goes against everything that we're kind of taught to do, right? But I do think it's very important for us in all areas of our life to be conscious of who we are inviting to share our space with. Because if we invite people in who are going to drag us down, make us question ourselves, who are just going to invite in that lower level energy, it just affects every aspect of your life and your being. And it's not worth it, no matter how much the price tag is on that. And you need to question, how much of yourself you're willing to sacrifice in order to make money or get ahead or do whatever it is that you're trying to achieve.
That's right. And that's a journey in itself, I feel, because it's not something from day one. And, a lot of people that will be watching this show, like I am and you are, we're all pleasers. So we want to help everybody, we want to save the world. But as long as you can stay stuck in that energy, you're not going to really help the people that you need to help, that need your help most, and that resonate with you, and that really want to work with you and want to pay the money for the results. And this is probably also why is another third reason why I knew I had to say yes, because I had a real strong calling for storytelling, because I've done storytelling since I was 8 years old. I wrote since I was 8 years old. I have a travel writing background, and but I have a creative background, and then inventing yourself in business is quite challenging, as it's quite a difficult journey. And I think storytelling is such a good way to reach your ideal clients. But I didn't really know how to do that. And I've been working on this before. But when you reached out, this was another component that confirmed that the timing was right. I was ready to tell my stories. I was ready to embed the storytelling within my marketing. So that's something I'm learning. I'm going through that journey and process. So that's another reason why I really wanted to work with you.
Yeah, and I was just having this conversation with another author who is in Phoenix Rising earlier this morning about
Yeah.
the power of storytelling to connect and to move people. And traditional marketing doesn't teach us to tell stories. It's like, don't talk about yourself. You need to be talking about the reader all the time, or your ideal client all the time. And you need to be pointing out what they get and what they don't get and what's included in the package and X, Y, and Z. But I completely disagree. Are those things important? Yes, but that's not what they need to make a buying decision, right? What they need to know is who you are. Because let's take intuitive business coaching for an example. There are thousands of intuitive business coaches across the earth, right? But what makes you unique is you, your experiences, your soul, your vibrancy, your energy, all of those things, right? So instead of going out onto social media or whatever marketing platform and just going, I have this package, this is what it does, da 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 da. No, what people are really looking for is connection with you as a human being. That's what drives them to give you their money and to trust you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going through that mind shift kind of still, because indeed we're told that you have to talk about talk in the second, how do you say it, in the second form, saying you and everything. It's very difficult to break that pattern if you have been taught that. But I think that storytelling is the path, the way for people, at least to reach the right people, because it will help you to shift that from the people that, let go of the people that don't resonate with your story. It's just a more organic way, because they just won't necessarily like your story, and that's fine. Then they're just not
not your people. Exactly. What you're wanting to be doing with your storytelling from a marketing perspective is that by the time they come to book a call with you, they only have a few questions, because you want them to feel like they already know you. So instead of flicking up this barrier on social media or your website to, look at this thing that I've got over here, but don't look at me, kind of a thing, if you're already going, this is who I am, this is what I can offer, these are my experiences, these are my kids, or, I like to do gardening on the weekend, whatever it is, by the time they come to book that call, they're already 3/4 away across the line, because they feel like they know you. You're no longer a stranger.
That's right. And that's basically what happened with me when I came into the call with you. I kind of already had said yes before I was on the call with you.
Yeah.
And I didn't even see that story from you. But I think that also energetically, when you put that story out, and when you dare to put that story out, that personal story, I probably tuned into your story without even hearing your story. So that's basically also part of it. It's all energetic, because it's all the blueprint. If you don't put out the right if you don't show the blueprint that you really are, your soul blueprint, then how can people know that you're the right person to work with? Because you're, like you say, you're hiding behind this shield, this protection.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I agree with you. Yeah.
Now, what do you hope to achieve business-wise or even personal-wise from having a chapter inside a multi-author book project like Phoenix Rising?
Okay, so there's a few things that I really hope that will happen, and some of them are already happening, actually. One of them is that I know this project will open up my channel more. And specifically, I have realized that my friend Angelique wants to work with me without me. I didn't realize that. I kind of was put off, because when I was very open as a child. I was helping people to pass as a child. They always came to me for help. So this is a very natural thing for me. But when I was in my early 20s, I had huge headaches, and my mom was not very spiritual at all. She was very down to earth, not spiritual at all, but she was very caring, and she realized I needed help. So when she offered me to go to a regression therapist, I said yes to that. And at the regression therapist, I actually asked for it to stop, because I was so open, I couldn't deal with it. I wasn't grounded in my body. I wasn't incarnated probably fully, and I didn't realize that that was happening. So I asked it to stop, and it stopped. And
wow.
Probably because it was blocked so much. So I asked it to be blocked. It was honored, but that's why my communication with the other dimensions did dim. And I feel Angelique is there to help me to open it up again. And this project is giving me the opportunity to really reconnect with her. And this morning, actually, I did connect with her. And I think it was the first time I did personally, because I have somebody else that helps me connect with her. But this morning, sure, I opened the communication directly, and that was big. So
wow,
that's to say that this is already happening as we speak.
Amazing.
So it's unfolding. Yeah. So that's a
so
very
good.
important part of what I hope to happen. I hope that it will continue, and I think it will. And then secondly, I would really hope for my voice to be coming through more fully, that I can speak to the people who need me and who want to work with me, because I know I have a big life purpose, and I know those people have a big life purpose, and that's my drive. So I really hope to come out of that shell. I started to read your story from the wild woman yesterday late at night. I didn't completely finish it because it was late, but I felt, yes, that's true. You know, me too. I was so shy. I was so weird that I just fitted in. I although my working life I didn't fit in, I still try to fit in. And that's what I'm really working through, and I hope that this will help that voice opening more fully to come to fruition, I suppose. Yeah.
Beautiful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, I have another one.
There's more. Tell me all the things.
Yeah, no, I just want to say one more thing.
Sure.
Thank you so much for listening. I really hope, of course, and I want to say this because I feel it's important for everybody that listens to this interview. I hope, of course, to find the clients through it, as that is the goal at the end of the day. Finding more clients, earning more money, it giving you, allowing, accepting more abundance into your life, so that you can live the dream life you were here to, you came to Earth to live. I want to live partially in Europe, partially in Australia. I need funds for that, but I know that through living that dream, releasing my husband from his job, I feel that will open up so much that, I will be of much better service to humanity and to the world, basically.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me in conversation today, Beatrice. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I cannot wait to read your chapter inside of Phoenix Rising, which is launching in early September. And if any of you listening would like to write a chapter in our upcoming multi-author book project, the next one, or maybe you're writing a solo book, please send me a message and reach out, and we will see if we are a good fit to work together. Thank you so much, Beatrice. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Tarryn. Thank you. Have a good day too. Bye.